Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Scoutcast. My name is Joe. Brilliant. I'm just going to repeat that again. My name is Joe.
Smooth, Joe.
Yeah. Go for it again. My name is Joe.
My name is Az.
And my name is Lee.
Oh, brilliant. That'll do. Okay, so we were talking on air about how I've changed the way I do the Scoutcasts from now on, and I was going to the new system is much smoother, and
no one noticed.
No one noticed, and I handily got you to correct it so that in the podcast version, no one will know, apart from me blabbering on about it. Anyway, we've got lots to talk about in this show. So we're dusting ourselves off after a strange double game week so far, but we do have another match to go for that, so it may be a bit better. So it was the single game weekers really that have shone so far. Also looking ahead to Gameweek 30, there's an impending blank game week and beyond, loads of other stuff as well. Az, what have we got coming up on the show?
Well, we'll be looking back on for our Barnsless Gameweek 29. None of us had the 19-point man. I've got my own story about him. We're going to be talking about coronavirus and the implications of the Premier League. We're going to be considering KDB out, and whether that's something to consider. Chelsea, emphatic win against Everton. Are they now looking too good to ignore? But who starts and who should we get? And then we've got the Game Week 31, the blank, coming up quickly. So we're going to be looking at players to bring in for that. Different chip strategies. Some people are taking lots of hits. Some people are going to get a team out. Others are going to have to free hit. So a few different things around there. And of course, all of our usual features, differentials, clean sheets, and Game Week 30. Transfer captain pads. Game Week 30 is the most pointless week. Everyone's just waiting for Game Week 31 and the doubles. Who cares about Game Week 30?
It'd be typical.
We'll get it done.
It'd be typical if Game Week 30 is the one with like mega scores for all the people we captain.
Oh yeah.
Well,
yeah.
That's the dream anyway. Let's have a look at Game Week 29 so far. Those who do not have Barnes and are thinking, oh my god, I'm just sick of hearing these people who've got blooming Harvey Barnes and his 19 points. Well, rest assured, none of us have. We've all done terribly. But Lee, you've done best. You're the least terrible at the moment. You got 46. You wildcarded. You've got KDB potentially, Aubameyang and Saka to go. But yeah, who are your main guys out, and how's the wildcard going so far?
Yeah, it's nice that you confirmed me as the least best, Joe. Thank you. I think I would have been actually better off not wildcarding. I haven't done that usual thing where you add up the points you would have got had you not wildcarded, because frankly, I just don't want to. No. I had McCarthy in my team before and a 4.0 burner, so I would have played McCarthy. I had Vardy before I wildcarded him out. I had Bolly before he left as well. So I think, I'm not feeling too great about my wildcard now. However, if Aubameyang scores a couple against Man City on Wednesday night, then all's forgiven and everything's good. So the wildcard I was kind of happy with it actually up until the kickoff in the Leicester game, because I was on a pretty small green arrow. As it turns out, my 46 is actually only going to get me about an 11 or 12k rank drop after no Vardy, no Barnes, no Soyuncu or anybody else at the back for Leicester, unfortunately. So double Wolves defence paid off, which was good. Salah was fine, chipping in as usual. Aubameyang captain still to play. Saka is a bit of a differential in the double as well. So, yeah, you know what? I feel like my team is reasonably well set up for not just blank 31 that we'll talk about in a bit, but going forward after that as well. So I feel as if it's well set up, but it's a wild card that actually cost me points, Joe. So not feeling too great about it.
This was perhaps not the week to wildcard, but you didn't know that. That's with hindsight. This is not the week to wildcard because all the players that everyone wanted to ditch went and blooming scored loads of goals.
So yeah, do you know what? It's that thing we said before, and I was on here last time and we were talking about wildcards, and we said, play it when you feel it's right. Well, last week I felt it was right. I had that good feeling about it. Turns out you need to ignore your gut feelings and rely on stats every time, kids.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like when I wildcarded a few weeks back, and I know Az had his views about that. Yeah, you might remember that. But I remember with that wildcard as well, I mean, that same thing could have happened. It just so happened that I ended up okay from it. But yeah, it could have been that everyone I ditched suddenly decided to do really well. But luckily they didn't. So this is the state of my team at the moment. Fernandez just is a blooming legend. I've had him for 3 weeks now,
nice.
and he just cannot stop scoring. So he's keeping me going. So I've got 44 so far. Aubameyang captain and De Bruyne. If De Bruyne doesn't show up, I get O'Connell off my bench. And the eagle-eyed viewers out there will notice that my bench is rather well stacked. And so this ideally would have been a good week to bench boost. I am betting that my Game Week 37 team is going to be better for a bench boost because I'm going to be... basically, I'm chock-a-block full of double Game Week players. So the theories are that double Game Week 37 is going to be the biggie. And I'm just betting that I'm going to get more than 28. I'll be happy with more than 16 for a bench boost, but 28 is now my benchmark, which is really annoying. But anyway, I've seen some mega benches there. I mean, who'd have thought McCarthy would have just suddenly become amazing? But I've got Henderson there, so I'm actually only 15 points down. It looks like a lot, but if I hadn't bench boosted, for example, just as I did, and I'd have played McCarthy instead of Henderson. And if I'd have played O'Connell instead of Stevens and Fernandes instead of Alexander-Arnold, maybe I would have done that. Basically, I'd be 15 points better off. So, that's bad. But it's not like, oh my God. We're going to talk about Game Week 30, 31 and beyond a bit later. All going to plan so far. I've got 2 free transfers left as well, which I'm going to use. And I don't know who for. So maybe we'll have some thoughts. Now... You took a hit and you got 41 points. Who was in? First of all, who departed your team and who came in?
Oh, don't ask me that so smugly.
I'm not asking you smugly, I'm just asking.
That was way too jolly, Joe. I didn't like it.
Well, I've got two myth things. I mean, firstly, I went for Maddison over Barnes, and I know the rough of the smooth is what you did do and what you didn't do, but I had 30 seconds left of the deadline, and I was debating between Maddison and Barnes, and in the end, my nostalgia for how much I love Maddison ran through, and I ignored Barnes, and he delivers 19 points, and Maddison blanks. So that hurt. But what really hurt was if I just left my team that I'd shown on the Scoutcast last week before that double game week got announced, and I said to you, I'm going to save the transfer this week. I'm going to go into game 30 with 2 transfers, get ready for the blanks. Vardy's got a good game. I've got my team looked all set up. Well, I took out Martial, who scored, and I took out Vardy, didn't I, for Aubameyang. Bassar and Aubameyang both blanked. For a hit as well, so I'm currently 18 points down, I think, on that move. Obviously don't have the free transfer, and it would have been even more if I'd had Barnes, and I had Vardy captain in that team that I had on the last Scoutcast, so it's probably more like 30 points if I stuck with it. So yeah, pretty painful.
This is jolly tonight, isn't it?
I know.
I'm not happy.
I feel lucky that I wildcarded when I did, because some of those players I did jettison there, but because it was so long ago, I don't really care anymore. But yeah, it must admit, there's no way. Yeah. Anyway, think about it this way. Those people who've got going, look at me with my Vardy points. Well, Vardy hasn't scored since mid-December. He's done nothing, so he's averaging
it was Rodgers saying he's going to have some involvement. I thought that sounds like a bench to me, and I was right. So I feel like I got punished for my own knowledge of actually sort of working out what Rodgers was on about, because I thought when I saw he was on the bench, I was like, oh great, that's my hunch right. And then he comes on and gets 2 goals. So that, but the one good thing though, it's not all doom and gloom, because one of my biggest mistakes this season has been selling Pope for McCarthy about 6 or 7 weeks ago, and it is so nice that Pope's finally blanked and McCarthy's delivered some points for me. So I'm not all doom and gloom.
I knew he was going to save that penalty. I was watching the BT Sports score, and I thought, he's going to save this penalty because I've transferred him out of my wildcard. He's 100% going to save it. And you know what? Sam cheered when McCarthy scored it. That's how we feel about each other and our team in our living room at the weekend. It was shocking.
I like the look of Richie, though, even though he missed the penalty. It looks like he's cementing that side. Newcastle have good fixtures. He looks like a very intriguing differential.
He's in the front 3, wasn't he?
Could be.
At the weekend.
He's in the front 3. Yeah. He's listed as defender. He's 5.3, and he's on penalties. A defender on penalties. Let that sink in, Stuart Pearce and Graham Alexander fans. That is FPL gold, potentially. Didn't work out this time, but I think Richie owners have reason to be happy going forward. Have we got any other roughs or smooths?
Well, you've got one I think that you want to mention. There's one I wanted to mention.
Okay.
I mean, we've seen some pretty bad benchings over this week. We've seen people selling Vardy and all this stuff, but the worst one I've seen is a guy on Twitter, Anish Patel. He benched McCarthy 12 points. He benched Fernandez 7 points. He benched Egan 6 points, and he benched Barnes 19 points. So that is just over 40 points. He got as many points on his bench as my whole team. So I had to mention him because that is savage.
Wow! Imagine bench boosting that. I mean, I was a little shy of that mark, but yeah, Barnes as well. Oh. Well, the one I want to mention is in the live chat. It's Jonathan Ayres. He was saying, "I've got a brilliant stroke terrible rough with the smooth series for tonight." He's on his wildcard this week. He transferred in Foster. Quite a good move, I think. Richie, I've already said that's a good move. Charlie Taylor, that's a good move. Sar's a good move. Aubameyang, captain. And then he lists who he's got rid of. He got rid of Henderson. Clean sheet. Got rid of Sionchu. Clean sheet. Got rid of Lundstrom. Just loads of points doing John Lundstrom stuff. And then Barnes, loads of points. Vardy, loads of points. So he's annoyingly calculated it. I mean, I would have just said, I've lost lots of points. But he has calculated he has lost 43 points by wildcarding. So let that sink in. So
this is fun, isn't it?
This is fun.
What a fun game week.
Yeah, but there are lots of smooths as well. So there's lots of people who did bench boosts very successfully. I've seen a few 80s, 90s, even 100-point scores this week. The game week has not ended yet, so you never know. If Aubameyang gets a hat-trick, maybe we'll be smooth.
Be so good.
Just before we come to the players and the teams and the talking point, I think we have to mention coronavirus. Because of the way it's going to potentially impact on FPL and could do just by looking at what's happening around the world. So we're not really, not passing judgment on what everyone should do, whether those matches should be suspended or whatever. This is more the kinds of things that FPL managers need to be keeping an eye on, really. So yeah, we're seeing empty stadiums across the world. They're commonplace behind closed door matches. Leagues are being suspended in some places as well. Already in Italy is a lockdown has been in place on regional movement there. Serie A was subject to crowdless matches and has now been suspended for a month. Similar things happening in La Liga, and European games are hanging in a balance, really. Sporting events across the world also disappearing. Barcelona Marathon, I believe that, is now gone, and the tennis at Indian Wells as well, another one. So you can see the theme is emerging here. I'm not saying that there should be no Premier League or whatever, just saying these are the kinds of things we need to be possibly aware of happening. So watch the news. The way I think we'll look at it really is like Jurgen Klopp, obviously not being as fantastic at management as him, but he made a good point in a press conference. He was asked a question about coronavirus, what effects and so, and he was saying, I'm a guy who wears a cap and I've got a beard and I manage a football team. Ask the scientists. That's exactly it. Ask the scientists, talk to the politicians, read the newspapers, all of those things. But what we can give is a sort of an FPL perspective, really. This is a huge real life event that is happening there. So, we need to talk about the possible effects. So just coming to both of you, really. Lee first. For as FPL managers, what are the sort of things we need to be aware of? What's the sort of things that we should be aware of as FPL managers around this?
Well, do you know what? It's really tough, isn't it? Because as FPL managers, we always try and predict the future by looking back at what's happened. We look at stats. We look at things that have happened. We look at when teams have played, the team they're about to play, what happened last time. So we look at precedents, we look at history, we look at things that have happened in the past, and we try and predict the future based on that. This has never happened before. This is unprecedented. We haven't really had a situation like this before, certainly in my living memory. So, without wanting to really swerve the question, Joe, I genuinely don't know. And I don't think we do. And I go back to what you were saying about Klopp's comments, right? Leave it to the scientists. I think you've just given all of the best advice that we could give there, which is just keep your eye on postponements and things like that. Keep your eye on what coming out of the government and on the news, and just try and adapt accordingly. Right? We've never had anything like it before, so we don't really know how it's going to affect the Premier League season. So all you can do is play week to week, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think. I mean, it sounds like what can we do? But we just be aware. Look at the news, and just.
I mean, the difference is compared to like a game that's like snowed off, is that it's going to affect all games, isn't it? It's unlikely that it's going to be a couple of games called off. So saying have a strong bench and that kind of thing. That advice isn't really useful. Like it's gonna. I don't know what. I have no idea what it's going to be. It might mean triple game weeks, quadruple game weeks down the line.
We've all got chip. We were talking about chip strategy last week. We've got double game week plan. We don't know. I mean, maybe some games will be postponed. Maybe some will be behind closed doors. We don't know. But those chip strategy and double game week plans we're all thinking about may not happen. They may happen in a different way. And as you said, there may be a suspension.
I mean, it's why I'm happy that my team's in a position where I can save the free hit. So I haven't got to use the free hit in the blank game week. I've still got my wild card. So that gives me at least a bit of extra sort of firepower in case there are, triple game weeks or quadruple games towards the end of the season. So that's kind of the one bit of advice I can think of, is that actually maybe banking transfers and saving your chips for a bit later on when we've got a bit of more of an idea over what's happening might be a good strategy.
I mean, I've got sort of 3 bits of advice really. One, I've already said, just you've got to keep an eye on the news. Just do all of that. Keep an eye on the news all the time. Never been more important than that. Keep up to date on current affairs. Really important. The second one really is looking at home and away stats. So one of the possible things that could happen is behind closed door games. That's the kind of thing that's already happening in other countries. So that could happen here. I'm not saying it will, but it could. And if so, it'll be interesting looking at home and away, because obviously some teams do better when they have their home fans roaring them on. Some have great away support as well, but in the main, it's the home fans that should be making more noise. They should be roaring their team on a bit more. So what I've done is I've had a look at the best home teams in terms of big chances. As you would expect, Liverpool are there, City are there, Chelsea as well, Burnley, Sheffield United, Manchester United, Everton, Watford and Wolves. They are the home teams. They love playing at home. And then I was looking at away teams. So already we can see City and Liverpool there, Wolves are there, and Everton are still there. So we can conclude they're just simply good, home and or away. But Leicester and Southampton are better away teams. So if we think there isn't that home advantage anymore, suddenly Leicester and Southampton could be better bets for investment there. Sheffield United, Burnley, Watford, Chelsea, they are less good on the road. I know the idea is that Chelsea have been better on the road, but that's not really the case, especially looking at underlying stats. So they're the teams that perhaps might miss out on that home advantage there. So I was just thinking about those issues there, and these are just the kinds of things to look at really. The other piece of advice really is a little bit about there could be some changes to the calendar. Some matches might get moved around. We don't know. But it was something I was talking about when there was the big storm recently, and I was saying about captaining and vice captaining players from different teams, different days, even different weeks. In that case, it was the different weekends. And I would still do that. So, for example, if you've got Salah and Mane, don't captain and vice captain both of them. Captain one, and then put the vice captain on whoever, I don't know, Fernandes or Aubameyang. And I was just doing that. It's just a bit of tidying up, really. But, it seems almost crazy and irrelevant to mention FPL in context of this huge global current affairs event that's happening. But we're an FPL show, and it would be remiss of us not to mention the biggest news story that's happening and also its potential effect on FPL. But I think we're going to move on. So what we're looking at is players, teams. So back to FPL a bit more. Players, teams, and talking point as well. So I'm going to put a picture up of a player here. So back in January, just before I put this picture up, back in January we asked whether the Vardy party was over. So that surprised some. But his goals this week were his first since December. So we were right there to say the Vardy party was over. It's maybe made a comeback, but it's taken a long time. Now we turn to another sacred cow of FPL. Here he is. Dun, dun, dun. KDB. Is now the time to ditch him, given he is carrying an injury? And Pep has already said that cup games now take a priority for Man City. So we've got a couple of questions. FPL DC, is KDB a season keeper? And Andy has asked, trying to guess Pep's lineup is worse than ever now. Should we even bother with them at all? So really going far there. Coming to you, Az, on this one. I don't know, is KDB on your side? Are you tempted to get rid? I mean, is it worth having him now?
He is in my side, and I kind of feel like he's not really going anywhere for some reasons. But I mean, I'm not too happy, because I think City are going to get through in the Champions League. You know, they've got the advantage against Real Madrid. I mean, let's assuming the coronavirus stuff is okay, and it all carries on, because you can't really predict it. But you know, hopefully it will be okay. I think they get through, and I think Pep is going. I've said it from kind of the start of the season. I always thought he was going to prioritise the Champions League over the league anyway, and it looks like he's going to do that more now. And De Bruyne, every time De Bruyne misses out, you're just reminded this season about how important he is to the team, because they just don't look anywhere near right without him. And so if they're going to win the Champions League this year, which is kind of what Pep really wants to do, then they need him to be fit. That doesn't mean he's going to miss every game. He still needs to play, you know, to keep his match sharpness. It's not like he's going to miss every Premier League game and play every Champions League game, but his minutes are definitely going to be managed. I think if they get through, you know, you're going to see him getting subbed at 60 minutes. You might see him getting the rest in your game. The problem is that if you take him out and you spread your funds around, like, who do you get? Because we've talked about the lack of premium options before anyway, and you know, you could say, oh well, I'll get the Salah and Mane double up. Well, they're going to have won the league in 2 weeks. They might get through in the Champions League. They're going to be doing the same thing with their prize players. So then it's like, well, who do you get? You know, the other expensive players are people like Aguero and Aubameyang out on the wing, and Vardy, who is, I don't know, there's no one that excites me in the premium price bracket. So it makes me think I might as well just stick with De Bruyne, because when he plays, he delivers, even if he is having his minutes managed.
Does it not make you think, though, as that you can go from De Bruyne to literally anyone then, can't you? You have the money to go to literally anybody. So is there a case for saying you could keep that slot, or maybe 1 or 2 slots in your team pretty fluid, and just kind of have, rather than a KDB slot, you have a kind of like a bit of a punt every week between now and 38, and maybe a team that's struggling, or you pick a Ismail Assar, or you pick a Grealish if he's got a good home fixture, or I don't know.
I mean, you could do.
Right?
I mean, you know, I've never liked the idea of kind of chopping and changing one position each week, because you're always going to get injuries. You're always going to get players in form that you suddenly want in different positions. You know, if you're changing your team structure every week, you're going to be taking loads of hits, which I think this season's kind of, I'm sure there's people who've done well taking lots of hits, but for me personally, all my worst weeks have coincided when I've taken hits, and patience has actually been, you know, quite important to when I kind of managed to get my season back on track. So I think having a kind of flexible position like that isn't how I'd want to play the game, because I think you need to give some players time to perform, and you know, if you're bringing a player in, you've got a reason to bring them in, rather than just bring them in for one fixture and then moving them out straight away. So I'm not overly keen on that strategy. I mean, I can see the logic. I just think I think with De Bruyne, I think you either keep him and you accept that he's going to miss the odd game and get taken off at 60 minutes, but hopefully the points will kind of compensate for that, or you just spread the funds around and just get some stronger players. I mean, it's, you know, the teams with something to play for still, like United, so you know, Fernandes and Martial, and some of the defenders now are looking good, and they're all quite pricey. And then you've got like Wolves players, you can get the triple up on them. Chelsea, Alonso's quite expensive, and people, you know, so the teams that are playing for something around the top 4 are good, but they're still, a lot of them are quite bargain like prices. Like if you take a punt on, you know, Chelsea striker when he's fit, Abraham coming back, 7 million. Players like Mount, 6 million, who we're going to talk about in a minute. Wolves players are all sort of 7 million and under. I find it really hard to know what to do with that De Bruyne money.
I think you're right with the Bruno Fernandes piece, right? I think if you haven't got him, given the fixtures, given the form, given United look really good, that's a really easy swap. And I think if you're looking at a Fernandes and Martial double up, wouldn't want to put anybody off that right now. But outside of that, I feel a bit like you. I feel a bit meh about whoever I could have in my team. The comment about having a bit of a rotating punt, I'm with you completely. It's not how I like to play the game either. But if I was chasing in a mini league, or if I was way behind, what are we now? Maybe 6 or 7, 8 game weeks before the end of the season. If you're chasing, maybe it's time to take a few punts and maybe just take a few, take a few swings. And if you miss a few, see what happens. So I can see both ways. I'm like you. I prefer to play it a bit safe. Prefer to have somebody that I like in there. Prefer to have someone that's going to play week in, week out. The move to Bruno is absolutely on there. But outside of that, I mean, Joe, what do you think? Anybody catching you?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, I've got very similar in my notes here. If you don't have Fernandes, just get that move done. Get KDB out and get Fernandes in, because this is a golden opportunity. Fernandes was 8 million, 8.1 or something when I bought him. He's 8.5 now. He's going to be 9 in about 2 weeks. So he's going to
still KDB before Burnley.
No,
but I'll come on to where I am. So at the moment with me, I have Fernandes already, and as both of you have said, I wouldn't know what to do with the money. I've got a Aubameyang already. If I didn't have a premium striker or a Vardy or something like that, then I'd be considering it. The only place I can see where the money can go would be upgrading defence. So turning some of, for example, Bolly into Doherty, turning, if you've got, a cheaper defender, turning them into Alonso perhaps. I can see spreading that love out and then maybe replacing him with a Harvey Barnes or a Sarr. I can see that logic, and that's one way I may go. I don't know. But at the moment, I'm keeping him. I've got 2 free transfers. If it looks like he might play against Burnley, I'm gonna field him. I can't.
Do you think he will, Joe? Do you think?
I don't know. I don't know, but
Pep's comments are pretty key, aren't they? I want to focus on Newcastle, Real.
As you see with my bench, I'm quite happy for him not to play. To be honest, I think Greyhead does this sort of roundup called the Great and the Good about various people on podcasts, etc., about how we're doing each week. And I think it's myself and I think Jules Breach have got the highest bench scores out of all of us all season, and that's sort of the way I play. I like to have a 15 that I can play with, maybe 14 top. So bench points are quite normal for me, the way I play the game. So yeah, if I play KDB and he doesn't play against Burnley, well, I'm happy. If KDB gets 20 minutes against Burnley, I'm quite happy I'll take 20 minutes of KDB over pretty much anyone else. I'll take 90 minutes, obviously. But I just don't want to do so. I mean, yeah, I'm free hitting as well. And own Fernandes. So yeah, I'm tempted to keep. But then again, if you're not free hitting, you're looking at perhaps Burnley, and then you're looking at a definite blank as well. And then what are we going to do with the double? So I think perhaps if I wasn't free hitting, I'd be minded to follow that mentality of dividing that money up and saying, right, I'm not getting, if I haven't got Fernandes, if I've got Fernandes rather, fine. But apart from that, I'm going to just say I don't want a KDB-shaped hole in my side anymore. I want some top defenders, and I want to just spread the love around my team, and I would do that. That's why I look to it. So, yeah.
I don't think Burnley get battered at the Etihad, though, do you? I think they've improved defensively recently. I think they'll go there and be reasonably resolute.
Well, I think they're sort of mid-table in terms of. We talked about it on the captaincy video today, myself and David, and looking at the stats as well and the eye test. Burnley away are pretty much mid-table at the moment. They'll concede, but they won't concede much. So they're not the sort of team you would happily captain someone against, especially a team that's rife with rotation at the moment. And apparently Aguero is going to be fine. Maybe he could be a shout. Yeah. But
I'll tell you who I do like in the City team. I do think Foden, between now and the end of the season, is going to get quite a lot of minutes. I mean, David Silva and Bernardo Silva aren't in great form anyway and haven't been all season, which is one of the reasons why they've struggled, I think, especially without De Bruyne, because Bernardo Silva pretty much dragged them kicking and screaming to the title last season. Really stepped up.
David Silva's done now, isn't he? I mean, this is it.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
End of the season.
Yeah. So if they're gonna be focusing on the Champions League and say Foden isn't the first choice player that he probably will be next year. So playing the first choice in the Champions League, that leaves Foden, I think, to fill, because he can fill in so many different positions as well. Right wing, he can fill in for De Bruyne if needed to. It's like 5.1 million. I'm pretty tempted. I'm wildcarding in a few weeks. I'm pretty tempted by him.
I was Lee's idea about the Martial and Fernandes, perhaps they're sort of getting both. I'm.
So what? Hang on, Lee's idea.
Oh,
idea.
Was it your idea? Sorry, sorry. I thought you got. I thought you got rid of Martial. I must have.
Joe,
Well, I did,
what?
but I'm wondering.
You should also get Phil Foden. Great. I think you're great.
Lee's idea about Phil
you're
Foden.
On it today, Lee.
No, Az's idea to get to double up there. It doesn't sort of appeals to me, and then doesn't when I remember all the times I've owned Martial, and it's those will he, won't he play? I don't know, and then he looks a bit, and then he suddenly score 2, and then do nothing, and
it's awful, and it's awful watching him play as well.
This game, it's a game, it's fun. Martial is no fun. I don't want him. Fernandes is fun, but Martial is not fun.
Here's a quick name to just throw at you, just to get a reaction, and I can say this is my idea, not yours. Leroy Sané, back from injury.
Ooh.
Yes or no?
I mean, you could argue it's the same kind of logic as Foden. He's probably not first choice. He's going to be used as kind of an impact sub, I'd say, in the Champions League. Still getting full fitness. I mean, who knows with it? I think what I like about Foden is that he can play in different positions. I think that's why his appeal, because they can rest a player and he can fill in for them. I think he's quite versatile like that. Whereas Sané can only play left wing. So you've got to think his minutes are going to be less than others. I don't know. He's risky, and he's pricey as well.
9-3, right? Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
I mean, I think that obviously there are so many talented players. Their motivation within the league is coming into question. But the problem is once you get beyond KDB and Aguero, you're just looking at will they play? How many minutes will they get? And that arguably is the problem that we've got for the next item on the bill, which is the team that we're going to be discussing. Who is that?
Well, the team is the team that put in the most impressive performance over the weekend, except for maybe United. Chelsea. So, bit depleted, been in a bit of a patchy run of form lately. Giroud up front with Abraham out, with everyone saying how important Abraham is, the way they play. And they just absolutely battered Everton. I mean, I wasn't expecting such a annihilation of Everton. I thought, under Ancelotti, look, they've been much improved. Defensively, Calvert-Lewin's been informed. They offered absolutely nothing against Chelsea. They completely played off the park. So then you look at their team and you think, oh, who are these bunch? Do I really want?
Giroud, come on.
I mean, it's not great. But, after game week 31, they're going to have a double at some point.
Yeah.
They've kept a clean sheet now, which they've been struggling with. They've got some players coming back to fitness. So, we've had some questions. So, Richard says, Chelsea look prime for investment. They got a nice run, if you can see past the blank. Also, for those free hitting, are the Blues the perfect team to target with a potential double game week coming up? Zoom Bloomer says Alonso and Willian, fun to deride, but both seem very... Alonso and Willian literally is the polar opposite of my fantasy football love. Both ends of the spectrum.
They both get derision, though, to be fair, in their own different ways. Well,
yeah, that is true. But yeah, one is a very strong FPL option, the other is frankly dreadful. But Willian, he has had a good season, and it's now coming at a time when there are a few options in that Chelsea team. So I'm interested to know what you both think, because I've been thinking about this quite a lot over the last few days, who I would get if I could have any of them. I'll say mine in a minute. But let's go to you, Joe. Any Chelsea players you're thinking of?
Yeah, I got 2 free transfers. They're playing Villa next. Oh my God, I've got to get a Chelsea player in. But however, the dullard in me is looking ahead, and I do have other options. So we're going to come to that with game week 31 and beyond plans coming up. But I may have to turn my back on Chelsea, but I so want them. And so they're definitely a team to target. They're up against the worst defence ever, the history of defences. Alonso or Azpilicueta. So Alonso's the one you should get. Azpilicueta, if you just can't quite afford it. You're locked in. Alonso points at both ends of the pitch. Azpilicueta, to be honest, can get points at both ends of the pitch against Villa. Mount, if fit in midfield, I'm very keen on him. I'll be keeping a close eye on team news later in the week. Giroud up top. Now, the thing is that Abraham is out, we think, until the beginning of April. So that means Giroud is going to play. So he is a transfer waiting to happen. Nevertheless, he has good fixtures coming up. And for those free hitting like me, doesn't matter that he blanks in 31. So Giroud is definitely on my radar. But I know that he's going to become Calvert-Lewin at some point. So I am thinking, should I just get Calvert-Lewin, whatever. So that's the issue that I'm up against them. I've done some stats as well. Last 3 game weeks, which is when Giroud has become their key man up top. Giroud, the best bet for goals. Most shots on target, most shots in the box. Alonso and Barkley, the assist guys. While Alonso has the most shots, they are mostly off target. But nevertheless, he's playing Villa, so it doesn't matter. Even if they're off target, they're still going to go in somehow. Villa will find a way. And Barkley, cue the picture of the lobster guy from Star Wars saying it's a trap. I can't bring myself to get Barkley in. Nevertheless, this could be the bit of the season where he suddenly gets loads and loads of returns. Cause
he was great against Everton when that's his old club. He was fantastic.
He was awesome. That pass he did.
Yeah.
For one of the goals, that quickly, first time pass.
So just to expand on those stats I'll give there, shots inside the box over the last 3 game weeks. Giroud 7, 4 of those on target. He's had 9 shots in total. Alonso has had 11 shots, but just 5 inside the box and just 3 on target. And Mason Mount has been getting 11 crosses. This is why I quite like him, with 4 shots inside the box and 5 on target. So one of his outside of the box shots was on target as well. Lots of love there. And Barkley, I like 10 shots, but same problem with Alonso. They're not quite on target as well, but 8 chances created. That was good. And Willian as well. 8 corners, 10 crosses. He's on the penalty rotation mill. Jorginho is top, but Willian will take penalties if Jorginho is not there, I think. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't need to free hit in 31, and I can get 10 or 11 out with the -4, even if I do a kind of luxury transfer this week. And then I'm going to probably be wildcarding in 32 anyway. So I think, with Chelsea, this kind of gives me a bit of a free punt this week to maybe get one of them in. So I'm thinking Giroud for Ings, maybe. Could be good, although Ings has got Norwich, but he's shifted out to the wing of. Really weird.
Chelsea have got Villa though,
I know. Well, this is it. I mean, you could easily argue that Everton game was just a freak occurrence. Chelsea are never going to play that well again, and Everton was just really bad. Well, then they got Villa. Villa are going to be just as bad as Everton, I would imagine. So I think having one of their players in this week is a good idea. And actually, they're all really low owned because.
Yes.
They're all just a weird bunch of players. Like Mount went like 18 games without getting any goals or assists. You've got Abraham out, so Giroud's in. No one's got him. No one really wants to go near Barkley. Alonso is looking amazing. So yeah, I think there's definitely some options. I like the look of Giroud. I like the look of Barkley, and obviously I like the look of Alonso as well. So they would be my kind of 3 picks. I mean, I honestly think, looking at my team this week, I'm struggling to find like a really good captain option.
Ooh.
I would love to bring in Alonso and captain him.
Oh my goodness.
I would just absolutely love it.
That was the point we made on the captaincy video today, was that Alonso against Villa is a points at both ends of the pitch kind of guy. And for those interested in a Maverick captain choice, Alonso is probably the best bet this week.
Oh man, Gilbert was awful against Leicester. Harvey Barnes just run him ragged. So if Alonso can do that, then.
But the issue is what formation does Lampard go with? Because if Alonso's at wing back against Villa, he's getting double digits.
3-5-2 and he's in. Yeah.
If he goes back to being a full back, he's probably just getting 6. So I think that's
sniff at that though. 6 for a reasonable differential. And
Well,
Alonso
no.
Okay,
and I mean
right?
he has. I remember when was it Sarri took over? I think Alonso went to fullback and everyone was like, "Oh, Alonso's finished now." And I think he started the season really strongly.
They still take free kicks and stuff. Presumably.
Yeah, free kicks and things. So I think he's a strong option. So yeah, I'm pretty tempted by that. I'd have to take a hit to get Alonso in though, and I could get Giroud or Barkley for free.
What I like about your move for Chelsea this week is that very few people are going to do it. Because everyone's going to be looking at 31 saying, well, I'll wait for 32. And actually the fixtures in 32 look pretty good. So if you can bring him in and you can just afford a bit of a bench spot or a burner spot for the blank game week.
Yeah, and if you're playing a wildcarding sort of 32, 33 anyway, then you're probably fine. I mean, 32, they've got West Ham, which is a good game. 33 got Watford at home. So, the only thing with someone like Giroud is that, he's going to be out of the team when Abraham's back. And you've got to remember they've got a lot of players out. So like Kante's out, Hudson-Odoi's out, Pulisic is out, Jorginho's out. So players like Barkley and Mount, you don't really know where they're going to fit when they're back.
Do you know what though? I think Lampard stumbled across. He's presumably knows about this player before the weekend. But Gilmour coming in the middle made all the difference. He was fantastic against us in the cup, and then he obviously played against Everton. And I don't know what it was. He just added a sense of calm in the middle. And he's one of those players where every time he got the ball, there was like nobody around him, and you're like, how has he done that? I was like, well, it's because he's that sort of player.
Because he's so tiny, you can't see him.
Well, that as well. But he had such a calming influence on Barkley. It just gave Barkley the freedom to do, and Mount actually to a degree, to do what they wanted to do in the middle. And after, I think, I'll go back in, as much as I'm bigging up Chelsea, when Everton went 2 down in that game, you could see that they were a bit like, we're mid-table, we can't be asked for this. And it just went to 4-0. But Chelsea were absolutely worth the 4-0, and I thought Billy Gilmour had a fantastic game in the middle. Not that he's an FPL asset necessarily, but I think the effect he has on the others is really positive.
I can't see Villa getting anything from that. The way they're playing and with that performance from Chelsea. So, yeah, I think Chelsea players are looking pretty good. Anyone you want to add to that, Lee? Eddie, who would you pick if you could pick one Chelsea player? Who'd you go for?
I think, Alonso. I think, just because again, even in that 4-4-2, I still think there's the upside of attacking returns with set pieces and what have you. The 3-5-2, and goodness me, he's very much a captaincy option without a doubt. In the middle, like you say, it's difficult to go for a Pedro or a Willian, but given the form that Mount showed at the beginning of the season, I think I would go there. If I was going a bit more rogue, if I was chasing my mini leagues, I'd maybe go Barkley. I don't really like Giroud, but that's probably because I've just played my wild card, so I don't have that exit strategy if I needed one. Because Tammy's coming back, although by all accounts Tammy's out for a few weeks, right? So I think we're going to get Giroud for a little while. So to answer your question, it would be Alonso, but I think Mount actually.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
It was just coming back to that KDB point again, and if KDB is in any way a massive doubt or whatever for Burnley, I would be tempted to make that move to upgrade one of my defenders to Alonso and downgrade KDB. It is saying I no longer want KDB, and I'm not sure I'm ready yet for that moment, but I'm probably about a week or two away from that, as I was with Vardy as well, when I got rid of him eventually ages ago. Let's move on to Game Week 31 plans. Lee, what have the community been asking us about that?
Yeah, so kind of feel sorry a bit for Game Week 30. It's getting a bit lost in between all the doubles and the blanks, isn't it? But yeah, Game Week 31 definitely on everybody's minds. Only 8 teams, so we've got Spurs, West Ham, Burnley, Watford, Liverpool, Palace, and then Wolves versus Bournemouth. So we've only got 8 teams to play, and of course the community have been asking lots of questions about it. So Mince and Tatties is saying, who I think is in the live chat, so hello to Mince and Tatties. He's saying, what are the Game Week 31 plans? Free hit, take hits? Who else apart from 3 Liverpool and 3 Wolves are worth having? So this seems to be quite a popular strategy within the FPL community right now, is you get your 3 Liverpool, you get your 3 Wolves, that gives you half a team, and then you play around the edges, and we'll discuss in a second who those edge periphery players might be. Jeff Holt is saying what to do with Traore now, with this kind of shoulder injury that he seems to be managing. Espirito Santo seems to be kind of benching him a lot and bringing him on for sort of 20-30 minutes to do some damage, but he's definitely carrying something there. So what would you do if you had him? Would you keep him? Would you sell him? And then another question from Alan Trey is saying, is Antonio a great Game Week 31 option? Looks pretty promising. Heat maps over the last couple of weeks look good for Antonio, and certainly earlier on in the season he was grabbing West Ham games by the scruff of the neck, in my opinion, looking very, very attacking in a sort of out-position FPL perspective. So maybe as I'll come to you first, 3 Wolves, 3 Liverpool, and then who?
I mean, have you ever seen a more depressing set of fixtures in your life than Game Week 31? I mean, obviously you've got Liverpool and Wolves, like the 6 players from those is just a given. And then you've got Burnley, Watford. I mean, that's going to be 0-0 or 1-0. I'd say pretty much guaranteed. Like, there's not going to be. I don't think that's going to be a high-scoring game at all. I mean, Spurs, West Ham. The only Spurs player I'd want is probably Ali. Took the penalty at the weekend. who else? They're losing again tonight. Like, there's literally no one else I want from that.
Your body language says it all. The whole way,
It does,
the whole of that last 30 seconds of monologue, you were shaking your head like this. No.
Well, it's how I feel about Spurs in general and Mourinho in general. It's just, it's awful.
Are they losing tonight? Are they down?
Yeah, 2-0. 2-0 down.
Blimey, all right. Okay, I thought it was quiet next door.
So yeah, I think actually in that Spurs West Ham game, I think maybe Ali and Antonio might be a decent bet, but again, I can't see it being a particularly high scoring match. I think just both teams just want to get through it and not lose. So I think probably 1-1 in that. So I mean, if you're thinking of taking loads of hits to get in these types of players, I think you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah,
really.
I think of the players you mentioned there, Antonio definitely worth a look, I think, and not mainly because of what I've seen from him, but from what I'm seeing at Spurs, I'm feeling as negative as you are about them right now. And we'll talk about my potential Manchester United captain at the weekend for this week. But the fact that Spurs are now almost in the same conversation as Aston Villa, and if anybody watching hasn't seen Joe and David's captain video from earlier today, then they talk about how bad Aston Villa are. Well, we are almost talking about Spurs statistically being in the same breath as Aston Villa, and any team that are playing Spurs right now, I think you need to target them. So bringing in the likes of Antonio, maybe even Allaire. I don't know how you guys feel about him. Dare I mention players like, I don't know, Pablo Fornal. Maybe I push my luck there. Pablo Fornal is pushing my luck, but Antonio for sure, I think he's worth a shout. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm free hitting. And
okay.
I see the Gameweek 31 completely differently. A lot of people go, terrible games, terrible teams, terrible. Well, I think better, worse. Makes the free hit all that better, because these are players that I would love to take a punt on each for 1 week. You remember, each week you see the dream team. You look at that and you go, what the hell? This is the week to try and win the lottery and get a dream team. And we've got much less teams to try and choose from, so your odds are reduced slightly. And most of these players I do not want long term. So I'm not going to want to stock up on Gameweek 31 players if I, other than a free hit. I don't want them long term, but I'm quite happy for a 1 week punt. So I've made a free hit team of sorts. So this might help those who are free hitting Gameweek 31, but also those who aren't, because you're going to want to spend some hits.
Can't wait to see this.
So I'll describe it first, then I'll put up the image of it. So basically, I'm doing it in order that I'll assemble them. So these are my Avengers assemble. And who's getting the party? Who's the Iron Man and the Thor of this? So Liverpool, yes, although it is against Palace. But I do think that TAA, Mane and Salah are the best three for this one, because you want to just go full on attack. I do not want Mane and Salah long term, because they're going to win the league, possibly this match. I do not want them for the rest of the season, because I want to have one of them. I don't want to go fully on a Liverpool side that I don't know what they're playing for in the league anymore. Anyway, Wolves home to Bournemouth. I want 3. Doherty is the best defender to get. Jimenez is nailed down. Fantastic option. The choice then is Jota or go for a Wolves double up, Patricio or Bolly. I'm not sure of that yet, so I'm looking at that. Then we go for the other places. So how are we going to fill the other places? And this is the bit people are thinking, who are we going to fill this with? Well, Burnley at home to Watford. Chris Wood looks absolutely great.
Yes.
But I don't want Chris Wood for a long time, but I love him for Gameweek 31. 11 goals this season, 1.3% ownership, scoring recently 2. Goal in 4 of his last 6 90-minute run-outs in the league. Pope leading goalkeeper for points, really. We all know what Pope's about. Bonus saves as well. I like the look of Pope, and I may go for Joe Hart as his backup, just in case Pope gets injured in the warm-up. Therefore, I've got a Burnley keeper. They will concede if Hart plays, but then he'll get some saves. 3 more needed.
Joe Hart.
3 more needed. People will look at that and go, Joe's wildcarding to get Joe Hart in. No, I'm going to get some other blokes.
Got crazy.
Right, 3 more needed. Sarr or Deeney. One of those will come in. I don't know which yet. One of those will come in. It'll be 3-5-2 or 3-4-3. Depends. Spurs and West Ham. Got it right this time. You said it there. Antonio or Ali, the only ones who'd be interested.
I mean, this time.
Yeah, well, I got it wrong last time, so we'll get it right this time.
If we meant I got it right,
Spurs and West Ham, I think there are limited goals in that, but I think there are goals. I want Ali. He is Spurs, as far as I could tell, only player left, and he's on penalties. And Antonio is he's a really great eye test punt I want for 1 week. I do not want Antonio for more than that, but give him a go. And that leaves one more defender really, so it's up for grabs. And I've gone for the second most attacking defender in the game at the moment. So my back line will be Alexander Arnold, we know about, and then in second is Van Aanholt. He's actually the second best according to the underlying stats, and Doherty. So they will be my three, and the other two are going to be bench fodder. Young Stacey at Bournemouth, just to get a player in called Stacey maybe, but very attacking. He's actually 1, 2, 3, the fifth most, just behind Robertson, fifth most attacking defender at the moment. So this is what it looks like. This isn't complete, my free hit team at the moment, but that is basically what I've just described there. It's going from Liverpool Wolves, they're the basis of it. Attacking defenders, I'm just betting there aren't going to be any clean sheets, maybe a Burnley one. And then the rest is like, do I go for Deeney, Sarr, that kind of thing? Do I go for Jota? Do I go for bench fodder there? That's the way. But yeah, the rest of it, I think it's coming together nicely. I'm quite excited as a dullard to really go to town on Gameweek 31. I don't know what score I'm going to get. It's either going to be amazing or awful. But
Joe, can I throw another name at you?
Yeah.
I feel like I've just been throwing names left, right and centre tonight. Coming back from injury again, Mr. Harry Kane, 8.5% selected. Don't know what his selection is in the top 10%. I'd imagine less than 1%.
I think it's too soon. It's too soon, isn't it? He's going to be...
he's not going to be fit for 31, is he?
Spurs always rush Harry Kane back.
They'd have to wheel... Mourinho would have to literally wheel him around the pitch, which would be a sight. But a bit like, a Nirvana gig at Reading. But I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, if there's any indication that he's fit, then he is the ultimate.
Yeah. He's been on Instagram, he's been on Twitter talking about, I'm really pleased to be having the grass under my feet again. He's on the training pitch knocking balls about. Yeah, he'll be back, trust me. The Spurs fans, listen, they need a bit of boost from somewhere. If they go out of the Champions League tonight, they need a bit of good news from somewhere.
They just need someone who can walk at the moment.
Right, yeah,
Would
right.
Kane getting injured in the 3rd minute be good news for them?
I think what it looks like is there is a possibility that he could be back game week 37, maybe 36 even. I think this is a bit too soon. Yeah, I don't like the look of Spurs at all, but I like the look of their only player who looks like he's doing anything, and he's on penalties. The Celso, I think is a good player as well.
He's a nice player.
It's just the team as a whole. Just I'm not going to go to town on investment there, but Dele Alli be my one. So anyway, that's my thoughts. As I said, I'm coming at it from a free hit perspective.
It's a pretty sad week to free hit.
I love it. The sadder, the better.
I know you're excited.
I'm a free hitter because the week is, not so good.
I was trying to inject some excitement there, with Harry Kane and Leroy Sané, but none of
You're
it.
mentioning just players that can't get. Yeah, what about Lionel Messi? Why can't I get it? No, I want to get Antonio instead. No, I like it. As I said, the way I look at these free hits is the worse the teams. The teams the players you do not want long term, perfect time to free hit. Also, all my other players aren't playing. The ones I'm getting rid of aren't playing. So also that risk. So for example, this week, as you know, getting rid of Vardy this week, oh my God, and so many people have got rid of Barnes or whatever. But I'm hopefully not going to have that, because at the moment I've got none of these guys. I've got Salah, Alexander Arnold, Jimenez, and Bolly. That's my lot. And obviously Doherty is Bolly's there for cost in my main team, but Doherty, if I got the money, why not? But yeah,
cool. Sounds good.
Do you want to? Let's not make it a free hit 31 hogging type thing.
No one's mentioned Sarr and Doucouré, who I think are potentially.
Sarr.
Oh, did you? Sorry.
Yeah, Sarr or Deeney, one of those two.
Sarr or Deeney. Yeah. I also like Doucouré. Against Palace, he was Watford's biggest threat again in that number 10 role. I don't see him in any teams really. I think Sarr's 19 points, including myself, meant I went for him. But I do really like Doucouré. I still think he could be the top scoring player that week.
Yeah,
he's got a hole in him. I tell you, Doucouré's got a big double-digit haul coming soon.
Okay. Well, this thing about strategy. So, Lee, you've just wildcarded. you've wildcarded with 31 in mind. So how many players are you going to get out for game week 31, and are any hits going to be involved?
So I did wildcard with a kind of a nod to 31. So I've brought in players like Charlie Taylor, Ismaila Sarr. I've obviously got the Wolves and the Liverpool players. So let me see. I've got 1, 2, 3. I'll be paying 4 at the back because I've got Ender Stevens who wouldn't play. Salah and Sarr in the middle. And then at the moment, just Jota up front. So it's that 4-2-1 with a goalie. So 8. 8.
Okay.
So currently 8. Obviously got some free transfers I can play between now and the game week to get 9. But I have to say, if I was going to side with either of you, I think I'm siding with Az. I can't get that excited about this game week. I really can't. It's just a dearth of picks. If we're sitting here talking about how great Antonio might be against Spurs, or do we get Van Aanholt or Ayew from Palace? If we're having to have those sorts of conversations, I just can't get too excited.
Well, I think it depends. It depends on the team though, because it depends how many players you've got. So I hardly got any. And my team is absolutely full of players that have definitely got a double game week in 34 or 37. So I want to, because we're going to enter the next phase in 32. We're going to know more about the doubles. We're going to be prepping around that. And I feel my team's quite well set up for that time.
I'm totally with you. It's not it's not me saying free hit's the wrong strategy, because it's absolutely a valid strategy. I just thought, I'm going to play my wild card this week to maximise the double game week with City and Arsenal, which isn't working out too great so far, with a view to planning a little bit ahead for 31. But also then I can save my free hit chip and play it a bit more aggressively towards the end of the season. I think we know that 34 is going to be a bit of a mixture of blanks and doubles and all sorts. We don't really know the full picture yet. We also know that 37 is going to be big as well. Also had a conversation with Sam the other day on one of our FPL family live streams about, wouldn't it be great to just go bang free hitting 38 and just like getting players like St. Maximan and players that we just love, and just blow it all in the final game week. So I just felt like holding that free hit chip, because I was a bit uninspired by the fixtures in 31, knowing that I could play it aggressively later was my strategy. But listen, if you want to play it in 31, ain't going to talk about
the reason
that.
I asked as well, because I think a lot of people are asking sort of what's the cut-off when you free hit or wouldn't think of it. So for me, I'm well in it. I'm like 3 or 4 players. There we go. I think if you've got maybe 6 players, 5 or 6 players, 7 players, then you start to think, oh, should I free hit? But I think obviously if you're in a position like you are, and as well, if you're looking at 9 plus players, of course you don't free hit. If I had 9 31 players, no way I would free hit. But I just wondered if you had a particular cutoff that you would recommend free hitting with. If you've got 6 players, for example.
Really. I guess. It's maybe 6 or 7. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you got to just do what feels right. What I love about it is that we're at a point of the season when and that's why I love this point of the season with the blanks, the doubles, and the chips, because everybody seems to have a different strategy.
Yeah,
and that's great. That's great for mini leagues. It's great for a point of time in the game when the proper managers, the managers that take FPL seriously, and I count everybody that's watching tonight and listening to this on a podcast as someone that's taking it seriously. They come to the fore, right? Because you plan and you have a strategy and you have a chip and you play it in the right way, and then you get an Aubameyang blank in a double game week. It all comes together really, really nicely. Is the theory anyway? Is the theory.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's the gist of it. Really, is chip strategy and what you're doing for 31. It's up to your team at the moment. I think if you've got like me 3, 4, even 5 players for it, and you can use your free hit, and you think you're well stocked up for the doubles, free hit away. Yeah. But any more than that, I reckon you could easily go out with 9. If you've got those Liverpool and Wolves guys, and maybe a punt on something like Antonio or Chris Wood or whatever, just 1 or 2 of those, then you're fine. Bearing in mind, there was 7 million players originally signed up with FPL. We think that active managers is around 3 million or so, 3.5 million. Most of those are not going to be free hitting. Most of those are not going to be looking at the fixture. Most of them are going to be looking at their team. They're going to be fielding maybe 1 or 2 players. They're not even going to be looking. So I think any form of preparation with 9 or so players, you're going to do fine, I think.
Are you going to captain Joe in 31 with your free hit?
Oh, it's got to be Mane, hasn't it? Or Salah, one of those two, surely.
One of the Liverpool boys, I would think. Yeah, I would think so.
I think definitely. It's not. I mean, they're just the best players. Maybe Mane. Give him a go. Hopefully, he can not be injured.
The chips you have basically determine, I think, what you're going to be doing. Because I mean, in my position with the wildcard and free hit, if I bring in players, if I get 8 or 9 out with a hit or something, then I don't need to keep those players until like the end of the season.
You're dead ending, which is the other strategy. Yeah.
Because if you haven't got the wild card and you're bringing in the likes of Antonio and Ali and and then you get to 32 and then you look at your team and you go, why have I got?
Yeah. Why have I got Antonio?
Yeah. So I think that I think if you're planning on getting through this without free hitting, you're probably going to be looking at wildcarding in 32, 33, and then you can get rid of some of these players. And the theory of it being 2 points instead of 4 points for a hit because the players are going to play, I think is a good one. But if you haven't got the wildcard, then taking hits for the likes of Antonio and then being stuck with them, because you're going to end up taking more hits to get them out. Yeah. Down the line. So
don't get a lot of people go look at Twitter and their mini leagues and they think, everyone's got Antonio, everyone's got Chris Wood. They haven't. Hardly anyone will have them. Most people won't even know what's going on with this game week, and they'll
captain
just going to
Chris
get
Wood, Joe. Come on,
and they're going to have Salah and they'll captain him and TAA, and they might have a Wolves player or two, and then that's your lot. Speaking of differentials, like Chris Wood. Let's have a look and see how we've been doing so far. So, FPL Fairy has kindly updated us as first time of asking. Alonso, there he is. Clean sheet already.
Always delivers.
There we go. Against Villa next. There's no way he's not going to get something against Villa. But anyway, Harvey Barnes.
3.9% ownership.
Oh, I know. Still a differential.
Is that what he is?
Yeah.
So low.
Karam picked Jota. 1 out of 2 returns so far. Holly's Fernandez 3 out of 3, and I'm hoping it's going to be 4 out of 4 because I'm going to captain the guy. Let's have a look. Who else we got? Tom's pick of Harvey Barnes finally came good. So no returns, and then suddenly boom. Not bad. Harvey Barnes there, and last and least, Lee's McBurney pick, who did absolutely nothing.
That looks so good on paper.
We even gave you an extra game for him because he had the blank.
Yeah, appreciate that.
So it's my turn next, and the way we've been doing it this year is we've been fair if they've got a blank game week. So we're looking at the next 4 game weeks that they are playing. So this is partly with a free hit in mind, but we're looking at those next 4 weeks. So obviously the player I'm picking is not playing in 31. I like the look of obviously Chelsea. They are playing Villa next. I think I'm going to get an immediate return here. And I think their fixtures are really good up next. They've got West Ham, anything can happen, London derby. They've got Palace, pretty good. Watford as well. Watford, we could, can beat the best and can lose to other teams very easily. Returns possible in all of those, but will he play? That's the risk that differentials take. So I could have picked Giroud. I could have picked Ross Barkley, but no, Az is here. So I'm going to pick Willian because I know how much Az loves Willian. In William's defence, he has 4 double-digit returns already this season. He's on the penalties rota, or at least in the mix. 3.6% ownership. He'll be overlooked as he induces vomiting in some FPL managers like Az.
Have you seen his points for the last 4 games before the Everton match?
Yeah, have you seen his minutes? That's the thing. This is why I put him in the differentials. Will he? Won't he play?
1-1-1-1.
Yeah, 1-1-1. Ooh, double-digit return again. And that's what the hopes is. So if I can get 1 or 2 double-digit returns out of him, I'll be very happy. And of course, if those who pick him are lucky, Chelsea could have a double game week, one of their double game weeks in game week 34. In which case that would fall into the remit of this since he's missing 31. So he's a double game week player, potentially. That's what I'm betting on. That's why he's a differential. It's a bit of a risk. Lee, what do you reckon, Willian? Did he take us?
What do I think of Willian? Well, he went off to a standing ovation against Everton, didn't he? No doubt the performance was good there. But yeah, it does feel like he's a one good game in 3 or 4 sort of player. Always has been, isn't he? But Listen, it's Villa next. I'm not gonna not support any sort of pick that is against Villa right now. And he could do well. What I did notice in the Everton game is, as much as I spoke about that midfield three and the control and the calmness that was there, I do think that the addition of Giroud up there, that the big guy wins it in the air, holds it up, lays it off, and brings the likes of Pedro and Willian and Mount into the game. So in a very Firmino style way, he will benefit the two guys around him. Not saying that Salah and Salah and Mane-esque returns potentially for Pedro and Willian.
What did he do in the World Cup? Not score. But he won the World Cup.
Yep.
So
yeah. So it's a nice pick. Yeah, I'll go with that. Go with it.
Are you going to actually just vomit live on screen, or are you?
I mean, what Lee said, that he's playing Villa. You can't really argue. And then he's got some decent games: West Ham, Watford, Palace. I mean, the only thing is, his contract's running out, isn't it, at the end of the season? And I think the commentators are saying he wants a 3-year deal, but they're only offering him a 2-year deal. So I wonder if that's going to kind of rumble on for a bit. They're also getting quite a few players, hopefully, back from injury. So Hudson-Odoi, I think he's had a setback, but he might be back soon. Pulisic is training. So you kind of wonder a little bit what his place in the team is going to be in the long term. But certainly for short term. Pick.
Next 4 game weeks, I reckon.
He's decent.
This is the time. It's William time. Let's move on to clean sheets. So we usually look at 6 game weeks, but for this I want to focus on the next 4. That's because game week 34 may be a double game week, so we're not sure at the moment. So a lot of our defensive recruits may be based on that, and in the meantime there are 4 set of fixtures. So this is heading up to game week 34. So don't forget game week 30. Don't forget game week 32 and 33 as we think about the doubles and the blanks. They're all important. So are those that are playing all 4, Burnley are at the top there. Then we're looking at Bournemouth. I'm just going to sketch over that. Then Watford. They've got a couple of home games there. Leicester, you never know, but Southampton, and maybe that away game against Burnley, I don't know. They look like potentials for clean sheets. They're with Wolves are up there, as you would imagine, and Liverpool are up there as well. But that's going to depend, I think, a lot on whether Adrian's in goal, because as good as he is, every match there seems to be one mistake. And there we go. But looking down at those teams that are missing a game week. So if you are, say, free hitting like me, and you don't give a jot about 31, then these are the sort of teams you'd be looking at. Chelsea right up there. So we mentioned Alonso. Azpilicueta's a good bet. Reece James, if we think he's going to play. There are options there in defence. Crystal Palace as well. I mentioned Van Aanholt as well, an intriguing differential towards the end of the season. Arsenal are looking good. So those that are stocked up on, say, Leno, I think keep hold because some good fixtures coming up for Arsenal. Leicester as well. Once again, if you've still got Sionju, that type, keep. Sheffield United and Newcastle. Fernandes, the other Fernandes. I wish I'd played Fernandes with a Z this week, because then I'd have got...
You love that guy, don't you?
I'd have got double Fernandes, doubles. I'd have got double Fernandes for 2 weeks in a row. Wow, that's achievement unlocked territory there. But as it is, I just got the one Fernandes S, Fernandes Z week there. So let's move on to our game week 30 plans. There we go. I've got me first in the notes, but let's go for Lee first, because I've talked enough at the moment. So Lee, what's your bus team? What's your plans for game week 30?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to be rolling my transfer. I can't see that I desperately need to do anything, especially a week after a wildcard. You think that, as long as you played your wildcard correctly, you should be set up for the next few weeks. And as you can see, the team, I think, is pretty much set up. Well, it is pretty much set up with a nod to 31, as I said before. But I think I can navigate 30 fine as well. I mean, the only thing that I might change versus what's on the screen right now is the captaincy, actually. So I have it on a Aubameyang right now. And I did the thing that everybody always does, right? You set your bus team. As soon as the app updates, you go in, you set your team. I just saw Aubameyang, Brighton. Sorry, Joe. Yep, get it on there. But having... Yeah, difficult for either of you to argue with that one, I'm sure. But given what yourself and David were saying in the captaincy video, given what we've seen of Bruno Fernandes, and given what we are seeing of Spurs, I got a feeling that Fernandes might become my captain for the game week. So yeah, get your thoughts on that, guys. But at the minute, my team is pretty much, I think, okay. If De Bruyne doesn't play, then I've got enough on the bench to cover him. I don't feel like it's. I mean, I've gone into game weeks before, and I thought my team looks great on paper, and then I end up getting like 20 points. I'm looking at it this week, and I'm thinking, oh, this doesn't look great on paper. I've got kind of low expectations of it this week. So, Q 80, 90 points.
Big score
yeah,
coming,
exactly.
definitely.
But the captaincy is going to be a key decision. So I'm interested to get your guys' thoughts, Joe. Mate, what do you think? Fernandes captain over?
Well, yeah, I mean that's what. Well, I've spoke about it for about half an hour on the captaincy video. Why I would, and because he is the form player. He's against the second worst defence. Villa are the worst. Spurs are the second. And he also plays on Sunday. So I've always got the hope when it all goes wrong on Saturday. But yeah, he's just a form player against dodgy defence. That's classic captain for me. Aubameyang, slight caveats. Brighton's defence has got slightly better. They kept Wolves at bay. Basuma is helping out in midfield when it comes to clean sheet potential. Aubameyang play. I really like Aubameyang every time he plays, but I would love him to play in the centre more. There's question marks. I just don't have any question marks about Fernandes. So yeah, what's going on with you? Any transfers? Who are you captaining?
Well, FPL Classico has just said it perfectly in the chat. I think this is the week for a differential captain, and as the kind of game weeks tick down, you kind of start to lose that a bit. I mean, we might get it more. With Liverpool having wrapped up the league and City playing, maybe their players, if those players are out of your captain consideration, then you're going to be captaining the likes of Chelsea players, United players. So yeah, it could be quite an interesting end to the season. I mean, I was kind of thinking of saving my transfer, but I really want to get involved in that Chelsea game against Villa. I think probably my mistake this week was sort of prioritising. Thinking about that double and thinking about the blank. That's why I got Sarr in probably a bit early, because the Palace away game was quite tough, and getting Aubameyang in for the double, you get your blinkers on with the double game weeks come round and the blank game weeks come round. You forget about the fixtures sort of in between, and I think that's going to mean a lot of people don't go for the Chelsea assets. And I think really this could be a really good, this could be a big score for Chelsea. So I even if it means I only get kind of 9 out or 8 or 9 out in the blank instead of 9 or 10, I think it's a risk worth taking to have a Chelsea player for that Villa game. So I could do Maddison to Mount or Barkley, I could do Ings to Giroud, or I could look to get Alonso in, but that would be for a hit. But I think I would probably go for one of the Chelsea players as captain if I bring one of those in.
Okay.
Giroud captain looks quite tempting, I have to say, as does Alonso.
Do you have Bruno Fernandes?
I do not have Bruno Fernandes. I had Martial, and then I got sick of watching him play, so I binned him off, and now I'm regretting that because I actually quite want him back for that game. But I mean, I'm going to get Fernandes in on my wildcard in 32
for sure. Yeah,
he'll be first name.
If you can afford him by then, that's
even if they lose De Bruyne.
Okay, well let's have a look at my bus team. I'm captain Fernandes. I've got Henderson at the back, Bolly, Stevens, Alexander-Arnold. So I'm going for that Sheffield United Southampton thing again. I'm not. Okay, if you go all in on Sheffield United defence, they'll concede. If you go all in on Southampton defence, they'll concede. I'm just hedging my bets. I'm going to get a clean sheet somewhere, I hope. Fernandes with a Z is my first sub against Sheffield United. But across the middle, I've got Grealish, Fernandes captain, Salah, De Bruyne, up front Ings, Jimenez, Aubameyang as my vice captain, McCarthy on the bench, Moy and O'Connell. So my bench is I'm fine with. I'm happy there. I think it's a good time to take a risk. Ings and one of Grealish or Moy will go. I should sensibly get Calvert-Lewin. I'm tempted to do that still. Or maybe get Giroud and just take him as a bit of a pump for a few weeks and then turn him into Calvert-Lewin. Because I play this price point thing, that's an easy move to make. Giroud's not going to become 10 million overnight. So, I can easily make that move. Grealish, do I want to get rid of him? I maybe do. And Moy is the other one. But the rest, I don't really want to lose, really. I mean, upgrade Bolly to Doherty would be good. But I don't really want to lose anyone to get Alonso, which is a bit annoying, really. But it'd be quite good if KDB. If I decide to get rid of him, the theme of this, I've got lots of options. I've got 2 free transfers. I've got to use them. I don't know, world's my oyster. KDB might go. I don't know. Who knows?
How are you feeling about Grealish long term, Joe? Because I mean, we know what the quality the player has, but the team he's in right now is bad, right?
Yeah, it's really bad, and also it's really easy for opponents to basically say, "Oh, look, there's Villa. They've got one good player. Let's mark him out of the game."
Yeah.
And there you go. He's basically, he's got. As I think David pointed out on Twitter the other day that Grealish has got playing cards where most people have shin pads with his tiny socks. And once you see a play like that, I fear for his fitness, to be honest. I wonder if they're going to hack him a bit. I'm sure he gets it already, but Villa are just a mess. They're just a championship side that are somehow still in there. Their manager ain't got a clue. They just haven't got the personnel. Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? Because you think by hiring Terry there as the assistant manager or whatever role he's got there, you'd think that their defensive solidity would improve, but doesn't feel like that's the case, does it? At all.
Sometimes that is the case. I mean, Tony Adams, manager of Portsmouth, amazing defender, awful manager. Gary Neville's very brief managerial career, great defender there, but not so good there. So it can happen. Alan Shearer as well. Very briefly manager in Newcastle. So a great player does not maketh the manager sometimes. And then sometimes you can just be like a translator for Bobby Robson and end up being one of the best managers of their generation. But funny old
they just concede so many chances. I mean, Mings is decent. The defence on paper isn't that bad, but like the midfield, I mean, they've got no one. I mean, they brought Danny Drinkwater in to kind of try and marshal the midfield, and you're desperate when he's coming in to do that. I mean, they just concede so.
You can't underestimate the loss of Heaton. I think Heaton at the back there was a leader as well as a decent goalkeeper.
But then you've got Rayner. I mean, Rayner's just making mistakes what he did.
So past it, right?
He is. Yeah, you'd think he would have a bit of organisation, but they don't look any better with him. And he's making mistakes. So
not keen. Just before we go, just want to mention the members area. A lot of the stats we've been mentioning, and of course the season ticker, which is so important at this time of the season. That's all in the members area. You can get that monthly, or you can get that on a basis of the rest of the season if you so want. But for now, it's a goodbye from me.
Good night.
And good night from me.
Goodbye all.